Yo, lock and load, time to work. Counter-Strike is my line of work.
Hello. Today I want to talk to you about a combat sport that is seen mostly as a child's sport. Or even not as a sport at all. However, growing up from the 90s, I can definitely say for a fact that in the time it definitely was considered a sport. It was even aired on TV a couple times. You're probably asking, what sport am I talking about? That is, in fact, Nerf. So sit back, grab your Fruit Loops, grab your Fruity Pebbles, and prepare to blow away your nostalgia glasses. We're going to take a time travel back to the time when we grew up as children. However, this one may take a dark turn. Well, not really a dark turn, just a turn for the weird. Not of that of the Twilight Zone, but of that of AirsoftAls Editorials. Let us begin, shall we? When you think of Nerf, what is the first thing that comes to mind? The first thing that comes to mind is a couple of kids playing around with foam Nerf guns. But the big one that I believe is that it's a simple time, in my mind. When I think of Nerf, I think of a time when I was a young child and I was playing with friends. Friends who would come over from junior high or even middle school, and we'd be sitting there and playing all day in the front yard until they had to leave for home. Those are my memories of my first Nerf battles, but then again, I was still naive and young. But then again, it was from 2000 to 2003. Well, not really 2003, 2005, when it all ended for me. Or when I had a very good childhood. However, a lot of people have much more invested in it. When asking people online about it, especially fellow airsofters, one of them actually chimed in with a very interesting point of view. What do I mean by interesting point of view? Well, here's what I mean. Scott Waynahu, I am sorry if I butchered your last name, says this: had a war with those new Nerf guns that shoot the balls. With a bunch of guys in their 30s. Can honestly say those and the belt-fed Nerf guns were fun as all hell. I would say it's an unlimited age sport, especially with all that they're coming out with. Well, you get what I'm saying. Either way, really. But yes, the ones he's talking about is definitely one I want to touch on. Nerf is coming out with so much stuff, and when I researched about Nerf, I found out something rather interesting. I found out that the modding community, and yes, there is in fact a modding community with the Nerf industry, but I'm going to touch on that later. But before we continue, I wish to touch on something a little bit more close to home. The ball blasters he was talking about was from their Nerf Rival line, which, if anyone who's ever played airsoft or paintball can definitely identify, this is definitely catering towards us. And from what I understand, it's pretty successful. Even the crew from Node actually did this, or better yet known as Corridor Digital. Sam, Nico, D, and Jake, I believe the boy's name is, actually got some of those balls, some of the Rival blasters, a couple GoPros, and went at it. And from what I've learned of it, it's a pretty fun little gun. And honestly, I wouldn't mind having one, but I'm more of a Springer kind of guy, if you know what I mean. Because to be fair, I'm not going to go full-on electric because of how expensive it is. Let me explain. The Rival blasters that the crew at Node used, and the ones that are supposedly the flagships of the actual Rival line, the Zeus, I believe the name of it is $48.99. $50 for a blaster that takes some batteries and a single tubular magazine that is fully ambidextrous. Now, a lot of you are scratching your heads going like, wait a minute, why is it so expensive? Well, I can't answer that. The only thing I can give you on that is from an airsofter point of view. It's kind of like how our airsoft guns are so expensive. We're paying for quality and quantity, not both. And with Nerf, they are nothing but quality and quantity. So you're paying for a brand name, not the blaster itself. But either way, You're probably wondering what my thoughts are on these blasters. Well, it's obvious they're catering towards the airsofters and paintballers. And you're probably wondering if I'm offended by that. No, I'm not. I'm in fact flattered. I'm flattered that the Nerf community actually wants to try and incorporate airsoft into, well, to be honest, into their sport. But then again, I think it's already been incorporated. You see, there are many different types of ammunition in Nerf. You have the whistlers, which apparently are ones that have the little cutouts on them. You have koosh darts, which apparently are much more cheap and affordable darts that actually fly better than the regular Nerf darts. And then you have the knockoff balls, which apparently don't fly as good as the rival balls. But then again, there are so many ammunition types that I'm surprised that they haven't tried saying, oh hey, there's more here. And cross-compatibility is something I was blown away by. Hey! What do I mean by that? Well, we'll probably have to go to another YouTuber for that one. The man simply known as Coop. Coop772. He is one of those people who I kind of had to run into. He's one of a few YouTube channels that I actually watch that's related to Nerf, and what he did was a video comparing the Air Warriors Sentinel versus the Zombie Strike. Well, the Zombie Strike Slingfire, basically. Both lever-action blasters, both magazine-fed. I know, that's unorthodox, but roll with it. There was a magazine-fed lever-action back from World War I, so why not? Now, what's actually interesting is the cross-compatibility I mentioned before. The cross-compatibility, which was very interesting, is that in the industry, the foam industry, from what I understand, there is such a thing as cross-compatibility, much like there is in airsoft. There's cross-compatibility. But yet, why is that? Why would a competitor want to have cross-compatibility parts with another blaster? Their competitor, their enemy, their rival, basically. See what I did there? Well, here's the thing. It's kind of like us in the airsoft industry, or even the paintball industry. Cross-compatibility can be a good thing and a bad thing. It just depends on what it is. In the airsoft industry, airsoft AR mags are plentiful and everywhere. Many companies make them, many different companies do mid-caps, high-caps, drum mags, what have you. And of course, that's where it comes down to. It's the company making more money on accessories. So, literally, what people will do is they'll actually buy more of that company's magazines because they're more affordable than the other company's magazines for that company's gun. Apparently, it's the way it is in Nerf and the foam industry. A company can still make more money on accessories than they can on the actual blaster itself. Which I find interesting of how similar it is to airsoft, because the same thing can be said in the airsoft industry. Aftermarket parts and aftermarket accessories can be added and bought from a different company, which is more affordable than the actual company you bought the gun from. I found this rather interesting. But it doesn't stop there. Another person I follow, his name is Lord Draco on YouTube. And links to all YouTubers will be in the description below. Now, he had a chance to go to a toy fair. Now, I never knew these still existed, toy fairs. And what I saw from one of his videos blew my mind away. Nerf recently introduced the Mega Darts, which have been around since the 90s. And then they had to go and introduce a truck going by. They had to go and introduce something that I never imagined would actually be made. Something that looked like, well, honestly, and you can agree with me on this, something that looks out of a weapon out of Borderlands, or even a much more scaled down version of the Gatling laser gun from Fallout. And to be fair, it does look like it. I mean, just to be fair. But the biggest thing I was blown away by is the fact of how massive it was. It's interesting. Now, I might let this clip actually play an audio or two, but in all honesty, I'm just going to let you see it, and I'm going to keep talking. Now, what's interesting is the power of this gun. Or blaster, my bad. Apparently, just like in paintball with markers, you got blasters with Nerf, and with airsoft, you got airsoft guns. But what's interesting about it is that it's so powerful. I mean, just look at it. The only downside is how expensive it is. It is $99.99. This gun is $100. And like I said before, you're paying for quality, apparently. You're paying for a name brand gun. And what I found interesting about it is that it takes D batteries. D batteries is definitely something else. But outside of that, though, this isn't the only other weird gun or huge gun that I actually saw that was actually played out. The only other gun I saw, which was really weird, was the Alien Menace line of Nerf blasters. Now, the Alien Menace line was definitely interesting. And what I mean interesting is that it literally is definitely something you'd see out of Borderlands. It's definitely a rare-looking weapon, I would say. You get what I'm saying. The thing looks like something out of Borderlands. And that's what all Nerf guns kind of look like. They look like they took inspiration from Borderlands and said, hey, here's a good idea. Let's just take this video game gun, make it into a dart blaster, and boom. Not like what we do in Airsoft, where we try to make video game guns out of our guns. Same thing with paintballs. With the paintballers, they do the same thing. So I guess you could say that in a sense, we're all connected by one thing. Our love for the science fiction. And our love for pop culture. But that's not all. What I'm really blown away by is how much is here. How much love and dedication is actually put to this one sport by all ages. And that definitely brings me back to a lot of memories. But what I'm gonna say is this isn't the only thing. What really blew me away is the players themselves. And you'll see what I mean in a very few short moments. Now, this is what I was talking about. The players of all sports can take it to a whole new level. And Steven here, apparently, is one of those guys. He's a Nerf player who has a SWAT tactical loadout, has his Nerf guns modded and painted to be police colors, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm blown away by this. And what really blew me away is the actual dedication to this. I mean, there's literally no words I could say for this, but wow. I did not expect there to be this much dedication to a single sport like we have to Airsoft, like paintballers have to their sport, like everyone's sport. And that is what's blown me away. Now, what really blew me away is the idea of the modding community. Now, you remember I mentioned about that in the earlier of the video, and I was going to talk about it just a tiny bit. Well, you're right. I am going to talk about it. And the modder in question is none other than Wacom 07. Wacom 7 is a Nerf modder and a Nerf reviewer, just like everyone else. And his creation is one that I was extremely blown away by because it's based off of a forgotten weapon, the LMR. A machine gun that was developed during World War I to be an airplane machine gun. What's so different about this gun, you may ask? Well, it's America's first assault rifle, and what's definitely different about it is that it had 2 vertical magazines, both of which could be fed, and both of which were designed in a way to where you had to smack one down to load in the new chamber, and then after that's done, slightly pull it out, slap in the other one, then fire it again. Now, what's really interesting is the modding community of the Nerf world is insane. I'm not even joking. Do you see the Nerf gun that is in front of you? Now, Wacom himself actually designed this weapon because he was inspired by it. I actually saw his comment on the video and I was like, this should be interesting. And Wacom himself actually is not really much of a flywheel blaster man, but this gun he modded himself is insane. Now you're probably asking if I would get into modding, and no, I would not. Yet.
Just like with Springer guns and airsoft, I have to ease my way into certain things. I'll start my way small and work my way up. But the biggest one I have to say is I am impressed. I am completely impressed by the modding community of the actual Nerf industry and the Nerf world and the Nerf communities, that they are so similar to airsoft and paintball. I thought originally it was just a child's sport, but seeing this, I was blown away by it. And honestly, it's definitely re-sparked my interest for the Nerf community, and to break my way into it, so that way you don't have airsoft videos. That way I can give you guys Nerf videos. But this is not an announcement trailer, this is actually an editorial. So, let's get back to the editorialing. So I guess you could say that, really, what's so different about Nerf and airsoft? Nerf and airsoft are both combat sports, just like paintball's a combat sport. All three, in a sense, use the same weaponry, all triggers, battery, spring, gas-powered, and yes, there are in fact gas-powered Nerf guns, I've seen them. Polar Star mostly, but either way. And then the question comes down to, are they truly different? Yes and no. I'll explain. Unlike airsoft, where we have 6mm BBs to 8mm BBs, our guns are full-scale replicas of real steel firearms. Nerf, on the other hand, maybe one or two will be closely related to an actual gun, like the Walking Dead line of Busby's blasters, but they're not called guns, they're called blasters. And they fire foam darts to other things. And then finally comes the fun one of paintball. Paintball fires a 45 well, not really a 45 caliber, just a ball, basically. And with the introduction of the Rival series of blasters, we now have the same amount of blasters. Basically, a comparison to make between Nerf, paintball, and airsoft. We're all shooting balls at each other. And honestly, I kind of like that idea. The idea that there is a weapon that everyone loves, that they can relate to, and they can understand, well, I think that's kind of a good entry point for airsofters into Nerf. And the idea that the rules are the same, that's what really made me smile, made me happy to know that that's how it is. The rules for Nerf are basically the same as airsoft and paintball. You get hit, you walk back to spawn, you come back in. That's how it is. And I love it. I love that there's a familiarity with this sport. And that is what makes me very happy. So now comes the question. Would I still play Nerf and airsoft? Yes. Will I play airsoft and Nerf? Yes. Will I get into the modding community? Maybe. And then finally, how close is Nerf to airsoft? Or any other combat sport? Well, it's kind of a tricky question, but if I had to say it, I'd have to say they're very similar. The hit rules are the same. While the guns may be different and the ammunition may be different, the feel and atmosphere that I got from playing Nerf after a very long time was the same as me getting into airsoft for the first time. And playing CQB was insanity. And yes, I did play at a CQB arena that was mostly a laser tag arena. But they have said they're going to break into Nerf, so you can bet anything. You can bet anything that I will be playing more Nerf, and I'll be playing airsoft as well. Why? Because in my opinion, all combat sports are the same. There's no difference except for the weapons, the ammunition, and that's it. So if anyone goes to say that all combat sports are different, no. Because there's an old saying, the more things change, the more they stay the same. And I believe that saying can still relate to combat sports. And honestly, I believe it to be true. Thanks for watching.
I want to take this moment and thank Scott for allowing me to use his comment about this, well, subject. If you guys have a subject you want me to tackle in an editorial, please say so in the comment section down below. It could be anywhere from weapons to another combat sport to my thoughts on other things such as that. So, if you guys have a subject you wish for me to tackle, please say so in the comment section down below. All links to the channels that were used in this video are also in the description down below. Thank you guys for watching. As always, I'm AirsoftAl, and I will see you in the next editorial. Until next time.